You know how some silly beliefs can stay with you for the longest time? Well, I had one such belief. It originated when I was a child, of course, but I held on to it for much longer than I would want to admit. I think up to the first year of university, even. I was so sure, I was convinced that there had to be a secret that the successful knew. Some exercise that those with the best bodies did when no one else was around. Some hack that the rich knew that they hid from the poor. Some trick that those who were genuinely happy most of the time knew that they didn't tell anybody else. It had been a while since I even thought of this now, but recently I was reminded of it. Just a couple of days ago, I met this guy at the gym, this 16, 17-year-old kid who had just started gymming but was really determined and dedicated to build an amazing physique. We talked for a bit and then he asks me this question. He goes, "How did you build your physique? What is the secret to building a body like that?" Now, I had heard this question a few times before, so I didn't make much of it at the time. I'll be honest, I responded with a laugh and made some joke in response. I don't even remember what I said, but as soon as I responded, I could see that I had let him down. I could see the disappointment in his face. I could visually see him going like this just for a second, and instantly I responded back with a serious answer. I tried to really help him out. I thought that he was just casually, making small talk, asking me that question, but once I realized that he was actually looking for an answer, I tried to help him out. I tried to lay out a path for him. I tried to help him progress on this journey, and he was somewhat happy with the answer I gave him, but I could still tell that even this wasn't exactly what he was looking for. I couldn't stop thinking about this interaction for the entire day. For some reason, I kept replaying it over and over in my head, and I got reminded of the conviction that I had as a kid, and I asked myself, what secret was he looking for? What answer did he expect from me when he asked me for a secret? What secret was younger Sahaj so convinced that there had to be? What secret was he convinced that the successful people must have known? What does a secret even constitute? I had this question on my mind for days, and I finally realized that what he was looking for, what younger Sahaj was looking for, what everybody is looking for, is essentially a shortcut. We all have a million things to do today, so with everything, we're just looking for a quick path to success. We're just looking for the fastest road to our destination. Well, to the best of my knowledge, what younger Sahaj was looking for doesn't really exist in that form. He was a lazy fuck, man. He didn't want to put in the time or the effort. But if you are willing to put in the effort, I think I might just have the closest thing to it that there is. Before we get to the secret, just one small concept that I need to put out there, that I need to ensure that you understand. The only way to get better at something is to invest time into it. The more time you put into it, the better you're going to get, and this applies for anything and everything that you can think of. Coming to the secret to success is consistency. The secret to success is to do the right things day after day, every single day. Now, you probably heard that and went, wait, how is that a secret? I already knew that, but did you? Be honest with yourself. When you see a jacked man with an amazing physique, do you think he must work out consistently and so carefully and maturely? Or do you think, yo, this guy must lift so heavy, he must max out on every set, he must end every workout completely drained, completely finishing himself off? The few times that you do get motivated to get your act straight and you decide to do something about it, do you make a routine for yourself so that you make daily progress towards your goals in the long term? Or do you just sit down on that one day and overwork yourself? Do you work for 4, 5, 6 hours on that day, completely overexhaust yourself, go completely overboard, and then make zero progress for the next week to 2 weeks until you get motivated again and the cycle repeats again? That is the impact of the hustle cultures and the grind mindsets of today. Man, I just want to be honest with you. I just want to be real with you. I could go the mainstream way and tell you, yo, I work 10 hours a day. Yo, I completely obliterate myself at the gym every single time. But that's not true. It's not possible. For a few days maybe, but in the long term, absolutely not. Having myself been hypnotized by this approach for quite some time, for having tried it multiple times myself, it makes me question the people who are selling this narrative on you, who are pushing you towards this narrative of value, of intensity, because if they themselves have tried what they are preaching, they know that what they are preaching is not sustainable. It's not possible to continue doing that in the long term. But because that is what people want to hear, they keep selling that very narrative. They keep selling that fairy tale to you. I get the point of setting the ideal high so that people keep striving to be better and better and better, so that there's always room to improve. But what happens when that very individual whom you motivated to put in his everything, whom you hypnotized into believing this narrative, into believing this fairy tale, when he gives his absolutely 100% that day? Let me make it better. Let's say he somehow is somebody who can really push himself. Let's say he's able to keep it up for an entire week. He puts in 100% intensity every single day for a week. But when he inevitably burns out, when he inevitably is not able to keep up the same intensity, the same pace, he will believe that there's something wrong with him. He will think that it's his mistake that he's not continuing to give his 100% every single day. If you've stuck with any one thing for more than a few months, you already know that, or rather you've already learnt that this approach will only get you so far. To truly succeed at anything in life, the one thing you need is consistency. The biggest requirement for success is consistency. The biggest requirement for success is that you show up again and again and again. But how are you going to show up tomorrow when you just burned yourself out today? Not only has the motivation worn out by tomorrow, but you've also over-exhausted yourself. So you leave yourself no chance to have as good a day the next day as you did today. How can this approach ever be sustainable in the long term? Intensity, by its very nature, can only be done once in a while, because intensity means that you're going all out. Intensity means that you're leaving nothing in the reserves. And so intensity entails that you need a break, that you need rest. Let's come back to the concept that we'd talked about in the beginning. What is the only way to get better at something? To invest time into it. The more time you invest into anything, the better you get at it. Let's take the example of two guys, Andrew and Joe. Both of them are skinny boys who decide to pack on a good amount of muscle, who decide to build a good physique. Now, they don't have access to any equipment, so they decide to just start with doing push-ups. Andrew is the go hard or go home kind of guy. He always puts everything on the line. He gives his 100%. He never leaves anything in the tank. He starts by deciding to do 100 push-ups a day. A beginner who's never worked out a single day in his life decides to start by doing 100 push-ups a day because he's pumped, he's motivated. Now, of course, he cannot keep up with this intensity every single day, so he works out 3 times a week. 3 days a week, he does 100 push-ups a day. Joe is the consistency over intensity kind of guy. He does 50 push-ups on his first day and realizes that that is his limit. He decides to stick to 50 every session, and he does a session every single day. So Andrew pushes himself to the extreme every single time. He does 100 push-ups a session and does 3 sessions a week. Joe doesn't go beyond his limit. He realizes that 50 push-ups is what he can comfortably do in one session, and he does a session every single day. So we have Joe averaging 50 more push-ups every single week. By the end of a month, Joe has the edge by 200 more push-ups. By the end of a year, Joe is dominating Andrew with 2,600 more push-ups. I'm just presenting the math to you. My advice to you is the opposite of the mainstream advice. My advice is to stop measuring your growth by how intensely you can work when you do work, and rather start measuring your progress, start measuring your growth by seeing how consistently you can put in the work. My advice to you is to never go to failure on a single set. My advice to you is to never work for more than 2 hours at a time. That is the secret to my success. That is the secret to my productivity, that I never put in more than 2 hours at a time, but I put in 1 to 2 bouts of deep work every single day. No days off, no Saturdays, no Sundays, no holidays, no vacations. You put in the work every single day. You never push yourself past your limit, whatever that limit for you is, and then you touch that limit. You get this close to the limit every single day. You get this close to the limit consistently. That is the secret to my body. I literally go to the gym every single day, but never do I push myself beyond the point of exhaustion. Never do I tire myself out so much that going to the gym starts seeming like a task. I remember this is how I'd started out initially, because this is all you see on the internet. People, the grind mindsets, the hustle cultures. I used to push myself so bad that every time I had to go to the gym, I would have to drag myself, I would have to force myself. But today, the time when I go to the gym is literally the favorite part of my day, because I know that I'm going to have an amazing time, and before I reach the point where I stop enjoying it, I'm already back home. And that is the secret to success. Shh. I'll see you in the next one.